start, or are you?
Well, I the last 2 times that I went to start, you were like, no.
Wait a minute, I got something. Hang on. Something just came to my mind.
Yeah, exactly.
I lost it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I was trying to get, I was like, okay, 3rd time's a charm. I'm going to get ahead of the
This is
here.
the awkwardness of not seeing each other while recording a podcast. There's a little bit of more nuance to the conversation because you can't I can't put my hand up and be like, hey, I got something I want to put in input here. It's got to be like an abrupt and kind of harsh injection cut off.
Yeah. I mean, I did order for when we are recording. We've got custom branded Movie Men podcast blindfolds coming for when we're recording them. Just because I don't want it to feel too different, right?
Or for nap time.
Like, hey, I can reach across and touch you, but I still don't want to see. I don't want to look at you while we're.
That abrasiveness has become part of the podcast.
Exactly. Yeah, it was really only the podcast was really only ever consistently in person for the first. Not even May, June, July, August. The first 4 months. First 4 months of the podcast, of a podcast that's been going on for coming up on 5 years. Yeah. The rest of it has been this online, and there was hiccups. And, for the first little while of figuring out, we changed methods several times. Just trying to figure out, okay, what is the best way to do this online where we don't have a nightmare in the editing room. But yeah, hello and welcome to the Movie Men podcast.
We are the B team.
And the guy over there that I can't see is Carl.
And the guy over there that I can't see is Brady.
It's so nice, isn't it? And we're back with another news episode, and a news episode this week that it's back to back. It is just back to back big news, things that I'm super stoked about. Definitely on the, and I'm going to say this as if it's like abnormal, definitely on the nerdier, geeky kind of news side this week. But also kind of still like all over the place. Like, I think there's only overlap in 2 of the topics, and that's it. Everything else is kind of its own animal. So super excited to jump into that. But before we can do that, as is tradition, as was tradition last week when Carl told us all about the supervillain lot, the supervillain lot, which is where you park your supervillain yacht.
What?
Carl has 3. What? Carl has 3. Supposedly has 3 topics. Presumably has 3 topics. Mostly unrelated to you. Typically has been unrelated to the world of movies, but are still fascinating things. Some weeks, listen, okay. I feel like I haven't really given feedback. Some weeks more interesting than others. But maybe that's on me, right? Because you give me the power of choice. And so if there's ever a week where I'm like, ultimately what we ended up talking about was just kind of like, yeah, it was cool, but like, it's not my thing. That's on me. You sly bastard. You have a built-in safety net. All three of your topics could ultimately end up sucking, but it doesn't matter because I won't know because I just picked the wrong one. Yeah. What are the 3 topics this week, sir?
And honestly, some weeks are better than others, and some weeks the choices are kind of these are interesting, but they're not amazing.
Some weeks it's like there's a clear choice. Some weeks there's a clear choice. I think last week it felt like there was a clear choice. Some weeks there's no clear choice just because all of them are like, oh, I don't know, that one, I guess. But then some weeks there's no clear choice because it's like, oh, I want to talk about all three of these. Like, so yeah, either way, it's a part of the podcast that I've come to look forward to. So Carl, take it away.
All right. So our three options today. All right. I didn't pre-think of these ones. I was kind of busy this morning.
Yeah, but you're just making them up on the spot.
I'm going to wing the topics here. Okay, so we got...
right. As in you're just bullshitting them? You're just making them up?
I'm just going to bullshit them. Juice...
All right.
No, juice orange. No, just kidding.
Okay. All right. Improv, not Carl's thing. I'm just making a note here.
NASA shows tenacity and shake test.
Okay.
We'll go with life on Mars. Maybe? Question mark. And AI so smart a baby can teach it.
Okay. So we have two that are space related. And one that is AI.
Yeah, AI is everywhere. Like, man.
I know. I was playing
every
around.
Week, my options are like, I'm going through, like, so these feeds come across my notifications on my push notifications on my phone and a couple emails. And like, AI is like all over them to the point where I'm like, AI again? This one's not interesting.
Listen, I, you know, there's been all this like, hey, you know, like AI is just a tool we have right now, and AI is going to assist us, but it's not going to replace us, and it's not going to, and that has been sort of the line that everyone close to or connected in, or the experts in the industry have kind of been towing. And then obviously, you know, on the flip side of that, there have been some people who are like, oh, this is, you know, we should be concerned about this. I have been cautiously watching with excitement as AI kind of, you know, takes off and becomes a thing that it is. The first time that I looked at anything that was sort of AI or robotics, because that's the thing too, right? Is like, it's not just AI that I think freaks people out. It's we have AI and that's a thing, and then we have robotics and that's a thing. But it's like, it's when AI and robotics starts to get combined, then it starts to feel a little like extra freaky.
Well, even just AI learning in general too.
Sure. And so yesterday I was just scrolling through Instagram and I came across a robot, very like Ex Machina style looking, like, you know, you see some robots and it's like, oh yeah, but it's bulky and it doesn't really move around well. And it's not like this thing couldn't run 100-meter dash or anything. This was like a very agile, very humanoid, articulate looking robot, android, or whatever you call it. And it was harvesting by hand some sort of crop, right? Out in it looked like this was maybe in Asia somewhere. It was harvesting some sort of crop, just, you know, grabbing bundles of it and stacking the bundles. And not only was it doing it quickly and efficiently, no more quickly and efficiently than a person could do it. It wasn't like, oh, look, this is like so much better. But it had all of the movements of a human. Like, had you put this thing, had you put a morph suit on this thing so that you couldn't see it at all, you would go, why is that person wearing a morph suit harvesting this? Oh, it was bizarre. And I think that was the first time that I've ever looked at it and I was like, okay. Like, well, there you go. You know, you get a couple of these suckers out in the field and there is no need to pay people to do this job now. And so that's kind of freaky. I'm going to pick the AI one just because, you know,
All right.
Yeah.
So we're going with AI. All right.
Yeah, because I don't think I'm ever going to live on Mars, so what the hell do I care?
Right. Okay. So the first one is like last week. Was it last week or couple weeks ago? We were talking about we had a quick conversation about how the space shuttle's been retired and NASA's kind of leaning on other people to.
I think it was 2 weeks ago or something.
Anyway, a subsidiary, not a subsidiary, a company called Sierra One Dream Chaser is building a shuttle for NASA and to replace the old shuttle. And they're in this building. They just passed what they call a shake test, where the thing gets like shook to no end to see if anything falls apart. And apparently it passed it. So now it's going into some chamber underground in Utah or something to continue its testing. Heat test is next. But the shuttle looks like NASA really dope.
Is like kind of a shell of the organization that it used to be.
Well, yeah.
Back in the day, it was just like, oh, NASA's building this, or NASA's working on that, or NASA's, like whatever. And now it's kind of like, oh yeah, NASA's
contracting.
SpaceX is doing some stuff.
Which I wonder how much they contracted other people in the past and how much they built on their own.
Yeah, and maybe this is the dynamic that it's always been. There's just been less anyway, we weren't on the internet looking it all up. And
I don't normally do this, but I'm going to send you a link because the shuttle is really cool and it's like capable of self-sustained flight and stuff like that. This one's probably would have been my pick for the day, but yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a cool shuttle. See,
normally you kind of safeguard the topics that I didn't end up choosing.
But this one was my pick, would have been my pick, and I thought it was like just the shuttle itself is like, oh, that was really cool. It's like it even looks kind of futuristic compared to the last big bulky shuttle we got. Like this one's like sleek and the wings fold and oh man, yeah, it's dope. Anyway, and the other one was a satellite orbiting Mars found big chunks of ice beneath the Earth. So yeah, there's like the whole concept of potential life on Mars is resurfacing.
See, when you and that's just it just goes to show the world and the culture and the climate that we're living in now, where you said life on Mars and I didn't even consider alien life. I just it was just like, well, yeah, that's our goal, isn't it? Yeah. Life on Mars,
so
right?
It wasn't a lot. They didn't find a lot of ice. I mean, it's a fair bit. It's enough to fill Earth's Red Sea. The amount of ice that they found.
But ice means water.
Yeah, ice means water, and water sustains life. So,
and water means. Correct me if I'm wrong. Water means that at some point, Mars must have had some degree of an atmosphere.
Potentially, that's one of the working theories. Is that
right?
Yeah,
okay.
If it had water, then it had an atmosphere, but yeah. As far as that, yeah, that's a theory. I don't know how much I buy into that theory because I mean, wouldn't it just be in my mind? And I'm no astrophysicist or anything, but in my mind, I feel like it would be just as possible that ice might have been there all along, and that's how it's always been, is just ice somehow. I don't know, but anyway,
okay.
I'm not sold on that theory either. That's just kind of a counterpoint in my own mind. Anyway,
all right.
You chose AI learning from babies. Yeah. So
put those kids to work early.
Yeah, for sure. So artificial intelligence researchers were able to successfully create a machine learning model capable of learning words using footage from a toddler's worn head cam.
Okay.
Pretty interesting stuff.
So like, no. So they put a head cam on the baby.
Yeah.
And the baby crawls around and coos and pulls a cat's tail and, does whatever. And then what?
So the idea of this, from reading the article, is that they can kind of pull a couple things from this, in that learning when kind of kids start to kind of learn words and stuff. But more importantly, what they're really trying to learn from this is simplifying and kind of how do you streamline how to train AI. Like, if AI is going to learn from scratch how to speak the English, a language, how to write a language, how to understand grammar, right? How do they do that? So the premise of this article and this research was like, let's learn from kids. Let's let the AI learn from a child how to learn these words, how to learn how to use these words.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of cool.
So at the age where, how do we get it so that AI can start sponging things up and learning and developing? And so then the idea or the theory put into practice is, well, let's take our lead from the people who are already doing
themselves,
that. Yeah, who are at that stage in their life.
Yeah. And having two children who are like at that stage in their life, it's like they learn so quick, it's scary.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah. My 2.5-year-old is literally like a copycat when it comes to what his sister does. His sister, who's 11, like she'll do something or say something at the kitchen table, and he's like immediately like, "Oh, I'm gonna try that."
So essentially, when AI becomes self-aware, takes over and kills us all, it will be your children's fault.
Yeah, it will be a 3-year-old, and the reason it's killing us is because it's having a temper tantrum.
All right. I'm
yeah. So yeah, it's just like an alternative method to train AI, and a pretty interesting one.
Yeah. That stuff's cool. I don't know. It's still like, even though I'm looking at all that, I'm hearing that, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? This could be we could be reading about the thing that is ultimately going to end humanity and kill us all. And
Terminator style, yep.
Yeah, cause our extinction, whatever. And even with that in the back of my mind, I'm still like, oh, this is cool, right? Like, it's cool. And maybe that's our downfall, right? Maybe it's the whole, like, so preoccupied with whether or not we didn't stop to consider whether or not we should. Like, maybe that's what this is.
Or maybe
but it's still kind of cool.
If everything goes like AI learning like a child direction, maybe that's the thing that'll save us. Because if we're good AI parents, making air quotes here, right? The AI will, look up to us and want to, be like a child. You're the hero of your children if you're doing your job right, kind of thing, or whatever. And
yes, but
eventually they'll hit their
your
teen
children.
Years
and children, yeah, but essentially your children end up replacing you. You become obsolete and worthless, and your children become the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's still,
That's a very good point. Yeah.
Still don't know if we're headed in the right direction there. All right, let's jump into our topics for today. Now, Sonic the Hedgehog, a film that, a franchise, but it was specifically that first film, was a film that had all of the reasons to just be a horrible film. right? Live action animation mix. It's based off a video game. It's, you know, all of the things that typically spell out kind of cheesy, tacky, nobody gives a shit kind of film. That's what Sonic the Hedgehog was. And then B, this film had all the potential to be dead in the water before it ever even released. When that first trailer dropped and everyone was like, oh my God, what the hell is that?
Who the hell is that? That's not Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, with ugly Sonic. And so,
oh my God.
And then
so ugly.
Luckily, and again, I'm not in the business of saying that, you know what, every time there's fans crying out on the internet that the studio should, you know, stop and
bend the knee.
Yeah, you don't give your fans all the control. If that were the case, you know, if we listened to outcry, Robert Pattinson never would have been Batman. Heath Ledger never would have been Joker. Michael Keaton never would have been Batman, right? Like you sometimes you just acknowledge that the fans don't know what the hell they're talking about. But in this case,
they do.
In this case, the studio listened and quickly got to work redoing the animation on Sonic and gave us a much more video game accurate version of Sonic. And that first movie is an absolute delight. That first movie is
it's so fun.
Better than it has any right being.
Yeah.
For what it is, for being a live action animation mix and a video game movie. It should have been garbage, but it's great. And the sequel, you know what? The sequel is, not that I think that the first Sonic is a 10 out of 10, but just for easy numbers, if the first Sonic is a 10 out of 10, I would say the second Sonic is like a 9 out of 10. It's still high. It's still great.
I just want to put a pause here real quick and point out to the viewers, the listeners of our fine podcast here, that Brady is praising Sonic the Hedgehog, a film that the leading man is his sworn enemy for life, James Marsden.
Okay.
So that's some high praise for this movie, I think.
Yeah, but also the lead villain is my favorite actor since I was like 3.
That's also good. It balances it out nicely.
Yeah. And so that's what we're kind of here to talk about. One of the great things about those Sonic films was, of course, Jim Carrey's portrayal of Dr. Robotnik, the Eggman. And it was Jim Carrey in full, like Jim Carrey,
classic Jim Carrey.
It was Jim Carrey in a way that we had not seen him in a very long time, and we welcomed it. Well, when a franchise is as successful as Sonic is, you keep going. You drive that thing into the ground. You keep making Sonic films until people beg you to stop, and then ultimately just stop going and seeing the movies. You
do those post-credit scenes that show the next thing and get people excited to want to come back.
And speaking of post-credit scenes, a little bit of a spoiler for Sonic the Hedgehog 2, but it's been a number of years now, so I don't know, get over it. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 ends with Robotnik kind of falling out of his machine in a fall that you'd be forgiven if you looked at and went, oh, that was fatal.
He did.
Right? Like he did. However, post-credit scene, it was revealed that Robotnik's body had been found and that he maybe they left the door open for the possibility that Robotnik had survived. Problem, though. Jim Carrey retired from acting. Jim Carrey retired from acting following the Will Smith slap at the Oscars. He was very outspoken about that Will Smith slap. He said, it's no longer a safe space for comedians, blah, blah, blah. He also said, and I'm probably going to get the order of this wrong, but what he said was, you know, I've done enough. I have enough. I am enough. Right? Like I don't need more money. I've done enough. I have enough. Like, you know, I don't need to grind at this. And he's also, you know, excuse me, he's also in the last number of years kind of had this big, like, eye-opening revelation, right? Where, like, he did interviews where he was talking about how, you know, the Jim Carrey that we know is a character that he's been playing for 30 years. And it took him a very long time to realize that. And he was starting to finally tap into the real Jim, the Jim that likes to paint. And the Jim that, you know, it doesn't have to be the class clown all the time just so that people like him. So he retired. He says, you know what? I'm stepping away. I'm done. He says it would take a very special script in order for me to come back. Well, Sonic 3 is on the way. And you and I had talked about this not long ago where I was like, I don't know, you know, but you're not going to have Jim Carrey in there. And you said, you know, and rightfully so, you said that you can do Sonic 3 without Robotnik, right? Yeah. You've got all these other characters you can do. And I'm like, yeah, I know you can. I just don't know if you should, right? Like, it's just, it was such a beautiful part of the dynamic. Well, we got our first teaser. It was a Twitter post about the movie, and it's just, you know, it's not like a teaser as in you got to see some footage or whatever. It's just the logo, right? It's some flashy CGI happens, the logo pops up, and then there's a laugh. It's just the audio of a laugh. In true, oh my God, Palpatine's coming back fashion, we just heard a laugh. And it is clearly Jim Carrey's laugh. So it looks like Jim Carrey's coming out of retirement for Sonic 3. Now, I don't know. There's three options here, I think. Option number one is that's not actually Jim Carrey's laugh. Or no, that it is. Sorry. Option number one is that it is Jim Carrey's laugh and the studio's pulling like archive audio or whatever to put it in there. Yeah. In which case, Dick Move Studio and what are you doing? Option number two is that Jim Carrey is coming back and doing this film. And not that Sonic 3 is some really special, important script, which is what Jim said it would need to be, that really had something to say. But, you know, maybe he's bored. Maybe he kind of misses it. He misses it more than he thought he would miss it. Yeah. Right. And they said, hey, we'll give you $5 million. Come do this movie, or $10 million. I don't know, however
maybe
much.
Maybe he just needs more money for paint.
Or, exactly. Paint's, you know, maybe he's like, holy shit, Michael's is expensive. I can't keep shopping here. Or C, Jim Carrey is coming back and doing Sonic 3 and he read the script and went through it with a fine-tooth comb, and he is really just like, wow, this is the story that needs to be told. I tend to think it's B. I tend to think that Sonic 3 is probably not the new Gone with the Wind. It's probably not the new Schindler's List. But I think Jim Carrey's probably coming back, and it's just, you know, like, I also don't know. I would be curious to find out. Hang on. I'm going to look something up, but that's my guess. That's my take on this. While I'm looking this up, Carl, you tell us what are your thoughts on this? Which one of those options do you think is the most likely, right? Is he not coming back and the studio's just trying to pull a fast one? Is he coming back because he's just bored as hell? Or is he coming back because Sonic 3 is you know, a masterpiece?
I wouldn't put it past, like, we hear about actors retiring all the time and then they come back. Now, some do stay retired and they end up in some other field that they enjoy. What's his name? Is it Frankie Muniz? The guy from kid from Malcolm in the Middle? Frankie
Muniz. Yeah.
Yeah. Like he's retired from acting. He's a Formula One driver now. He drives Formula One race cars. He doesn't act at all.
And has like memory issues and stuff. I watched like a whole thing on that. Yeah.
Yeah. But so with Jim Carrey's case here, I could see him coming back. Like he still lives in North America. He still, he does interviews every once in a while. Like he's not completely out of the scene. I could see him doing it for this. Like so when he did Sonic 2, he was pretty much had one foot out of the door. And for him to do Sonic 2 was like, oh crap, okay, he's still doing it.
He's still here, yeah.
Right? So maybe he's found some kind of enjoyment in playing this character that he'd come back and do it again. For the film itself, I think it would be a huge W. Like a big win.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like we got Jim Carrey.
You could like, do Sonic 3 without Robotnik.
Whether like or hate James Marsden, right?
Yeah.
Jim Carrey offsets any wrongdoing. Like it is a huge kind of swing towards this movie being better. Again, I don't think they need him. Like they're obvious if they follow suit with what they've done with the post-credit scene, which I don't see why they wouldn't follow the Shadow the Hedgehog story.
Right.
Dr. Robotnik does play a part in that, right? Like,
well, sure. And
Shadow's an artificially created hedgehog. I just was like, as you were talking, I was looking just to get a little bit more information because I don't know the lore super deep. But
right.
he was created in the actual the lore here by Robotnik's grandfather. Yeah, by his grandfather. So
right.
And then Robotnik, I don't know, depending on which games you play, probably tries to swindle him and use him for his own good, the same way he did with Knuckles in number 2. But yeah, either way, I think the movie will be all right. It'll definitely be better if he comes back.
Yeah, it's one of those things, you could do Sonic 3 without Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
But if you can have Jim Carrey, you do it. Even if you have to adjust the story and kind of shoehorn him in there a little bit, you do it.
Which you wouldn't have too much because Eggman always plays such a major role in
Sonic,
right? Sonic stories.
Yeah. He's the Bowser of Sonic's Mario, right? What I'm curious about, and I couldn't find, there's some speculation about it online, and I'm sure if I dug deep enough, if I had time to dig deep enough, I would probably find something. What I'm curious about is, did Jim Carrey sign a 3-picture deal? Because if Jim Carrey signed
contractually obligated,
yeah, if he signed a 3-picture deal, then Paramount goes to Jim and says, "Hey, Jim, we heard you retired. Guess again. Guess again." Right? The only thing that's getting you out of this is death, right?
Yeah,
and even then, we'll probably find a way to bring you back using AI.
Either Jim Carrey does the movie, or we get this Jim Carrey, John Wick-esque shootout between Jim Carrey and the studio
and Paramount. Yeah. So you
owe me a life.
That's interesting. I don't know whether or not he was just just as simple as, hey, sorry, you already signed the paperwork. And being Jim, like, you know, if I was a guy and I'm going to be the villain in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, maybe signing a 3-picture deal kind of just seemed like a safe gamble, because you're like, I don't even know if this thing will get a sequel, right? Let alone a threequel.
Yeah.
So
especially
we'll
looking
see.
at how a lot of those kind of movies have panned out in the past.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. There is a Captain America 4 movie coming. What? With Steve Rogers? No. Remember?
You obviously
Disney
didn't watch the TV show.
Disney Plus shows are now obligatory. They're now mandatory watching. They're prerequisites for the films. No, obviously at the end of Falcon and Winter Soldier, Sam Wilson takes up the mantle of Captain America, a super powerless Captain America. So there's that.
But he's got wings.
But that's what happened, and we have a Captain America: Brave New World film coming, and as is sometimes the case, we don't get our first glimpse from set photos, or we don't get our first glimpse from a trailer. In this case, we got our first glimpse from some sort of corporate collector Amazon merch thing.
Spoiled
I'm not
again.
exactly sure what this is. I'm really not sure what this is. Anyways, and on this you can find this picture. I mean, you can just search the internet, but this picture came to us from Instagram. And it is, it's just a little promotional for the film and probably some merch that's coming. Coming soon. Our next theme is like this. It seems like maybe this is like for like a loot box type thing. The next Marvel Collector Corp. Yeah, the next Marvel Collector Corps box is Captain America: Brave New World, ships in March. So that's exactly what this is.
It's got like,
and on it,
looking at the hashtags at the bottom of the Instagram post, it's got like they've got hashtag Funko Pops, vinyls, collectibles,
toys, and there is there's a picture of Sam Wilson. Now we got at the end of Falcon and Winter Soldier, we got a Captain America suit with Sam in it. Had a lot of white on it, some red and some blue, but it was like a Wakanda vibranium style suit, which
it was
kind of
and the color scheming on it was pretty close to the comic accurate version he wears in the comics.
Yes, yeah, and it kind of gave a little bit of credit to the fact that maybe Sam can pull this off. Okay, well, he's got a vibranium suit, right? Like
that helps.
That's gonna help. That's going to help him take a couple of punches from guys he probably shouldn't be able to take punches from. But it looks like he has ditched that suit in favor of a much more just straight up Captain America Star-Spangled Man suit.
Yeah, it looks very similar to the one
wings
from the first Captain America film almost.
Yeah. He's obviously still got the wings, but he's got the blue with sort of his abs, his six-pack has got the red and white stripes on it.
The blues aren't super dark. They're kind of a brighter navy.
Yeah. I'm going to guess that this is still probably a Wakanda suit.
Definitely.
Who else is making suits for people at this point? That's kind of like they are the Edna Mole of the MCU. You need a super suit, you go to the Wakandans at this point. Look, I think it looks great. I'm still skeptical on how people are going to how well people will receive a non-Steve Rogers Captain America, right? Myself included. Like, I don't know that I will be able to buy into it. I know what happens in the comics. I know blah, blah, blah. But Just on film, I mean, we've all come so accustomed to Chris Evans, Steve Rogers, and so it'll be interesting to see a new Captain America, and also to see sort of what his role is going to be. Is Sam Wilson going to lead the Avengers? I don't know that Sam Wilson is a lead the Avengers kind of guy, right? He's just kind of, when everybody else on the team is stronger and more powerful than you are, I don't know that works.
Yeah.
I don't know. Either way, I think the costume looks sick. Carl, what are your thoughts?
I think I like the other one better. This one,
yeah,
like this one feels too much like Steve Rogers.
Right.
Like you can't
he broke into
really
the museum
tell, but like it doesn't look like he has anything wrapping up around his head. Where the other one kind of came up along his neck and the side of his face, and he had little holes his ears popped out of, and it made it feel much more like Falcon Captain America. Even the design of it, where like I'm looking at some pictures where like from the star in the center of the chest, which Captain America has as well, there's like wing, almost kind of like the Air Force symbol has got wings coming out from the star, right? Because Sam Wilson is Air Force, military trained. Right. So that suit feels like a merger of these two heroes. This one just feels like straight up Captain America. I'm Captain America now. And
right.
And yes, okay, he's Captain America now. He's taking up the mantle. But he's still Falcon. Like he's still got the wings. He's still, he's still just got those same abilities that he had before. He's not any different except for a title change. And I think kind of the blending of the two makes more sense to me than like wiping away the other, even though they're kind of going to introduce a new Falcon. I don't know. I like the other one better. This one looks all right. I just think the other one's better.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
Moving on to a film that is in my top 3 most anticipated films of 2024. Beetlejuice 2. A film that, God, what a time. I say this a lot. What a time to be alive. Michael Keaton's back as Batman. He's back as Beetlejuice. We've got the original Ghostbusters in a, not just like a, hey, let's do, one for the Razorbacks here. It's like, it is like an ongoing franchise now with the original Ghostbusters in it. Like, it is a bizarre and wonderful time to be a film fan. We've got Hayden Christensen back on screen as like Clone Wars era Anakin.
Yeah.
Like, just what a bizarre time. Now, we've seen set photos kicking around. We haven't seen any set photos. Like, they've kept Michael Keaton in his makeup pretty under wraps. But we've seen set photos of Winona Ryder. We've seen set photos of Jenna Ortega. We've seen set photos of Willem Dafoe. What we haven't really known up until this point is, when is this film coming? And is it just Beetlejuice 2? Is it Beetlejuice 2, The Ghost with the Most? Like, what is the title of this film? Well, we got both things in a poster, an Instagram poster post, a poster post, an Instagram poster post came out on Instagram, came out on Twitter. They kind of dropped it everywhere. It is a poster of, if you remember, sort of the end of the first Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice ended up sitting in the sort of the afterlife social worker office place. He's in the waiting room, right? It's kind of like It's kind of like when you're sitting in a government building waiting to renew your driver's license or whatever, and you have to take a number and you just kind of sit there. And his was like super long, and the voodoo guy had like shrunken his head down or whatever. But he was holding a number, and it was like in the millions. Like he was going to be waiting there all day, at least.
Minimum.
And so the poster is just Beetlejuice's hands holding that number, or a number, but between his two thumbs, highlighted in green and a different color, we see the date 09/06/24. So this film is coming September 6th of this year, and it is called Beetlejuice. Now, this is a brilliant name. I don't think anyone's going to call it this, right? Like, when you're talking about it, you'd be like, oh, I watched Beetlejuice last night. Oh, which one? Oh, Beetlejuice 2, right? You're not going to say, oh, I watched Beetlejuice. Because it doesn't really roll off the tongue super well.
But they set themselves up for a really fun trilogy name.
And that's the thing. Right.
How do you summon Beetlejuice?
Because the second I saw this, and it turned out, because then I started digging, and it turns out that I'm definitely not the only one that thought this, and the theories are starting to run rampant. But the second I saw Beetlejuice, I'm like, oh, you gotta make a third. Right? You got, and just like bring this sucker home with Beetlejuice, which no one will call it. I don't know that there's enough room on the poster for that, but I'm still stoked on this title. I'm stoked that it's coming September. That's going to be here before we know it. I cannot wait for this movie. Carl, what are your thoughts?
I really liked the first Beetlejuice, so I am not as big a fan as you, but I am excited about this. Yeah. Michael Keaton is a great actor. This was a great film.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Come for your daughter, Chuck.
And here's the other thing, right? I don't think it would be really hard to screw this up, because even though in terms of media content, what does Beetlejuice have for fans to follow? They've got a movie, first of its kind. I don't think it was based on a book.
No.
It did have a cartoon that followed.
Yeah.
A little while later in the 90s.
Which was a little like, it was definitely dumbed down for kids, and it was definitely. Like a loose adaptation, because
meant to be more of a fun kid-friendly comedy.
Yeah, because if you grew up, let's say your first exposure. My first exposure to Beetlejuice was the movie, right? Like that was, as a kid, I loved the movie. But if you were a kid that grew up strictly with the show, if you were then years later to finally sit down and watch the movie, you'd be like, wait a second, Beetlejuice is the straight up villain? Like him and Lydia aren't partners in crime
aren't
here?
buddies?
Yeah, what the hell? Yeah, so the show is definitely sort of a loose take on it.
Yeah. So, and then there's probably, I think I've seen a few comics here and there, which some have followed more the cartoon than the movie. So in terms of like what they can do without making fans scream and rage because they're not following a canon that's been like similar to what we've seen with comics, the comic movies, right?
Yeah.
You're not running into that, I don't think.
No, don't change.
You're free to tell a story, whatever story.
Don't change the design of Beetlejuice. Don't just fundamentally change anyone's character.
Yeah, and follow the aesthetic of the first film, and you're good.
Yep. Stay true to sort of the rules of the world that you've built, and then tell a story. Tell whatever story you want.
Yeah, and I think that there's kind of a freedom in that for the script writers and director and actors. But on top of that, there's been plenty of time to let people sit and stew and wonder and hope on a hope that maybe one day we'll get to see Beetlejuice 2.
Right. People are hungry for this.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. It's the reason that episode 1 did so well, even though it's not the best of the prequel trilogies. And it's the reason that the first Disney movie did as well as it did, even though it has many flaws as well. People craved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's a good time for Beetlejuice to have another crack at the can.
The big screen. Yeah, I'm so stoked. All right, moving on. Now, James Gunn, DC, Peter Safran, DC EU, DCU reboot. We're not going to get into all of that again. We've conversationed that to death, right?
Yep.
Casting has been something that we've gotten sort of some sparse bits about. We know who our Superman is. We know who our Lois Lane is. We now know who our Lex Luthor is. Still don't know who Batman is, but that's okay because the Batman film's further out than the Superman. The first film we're getting is Superman, so it makes sense that
we've had some rumors about different actors for different stuff, but it's all speculation.
Yeah. One of the projects that was sort of laid out in James Gunn's DC roadmap was Supergirl. And telling sort of a darker Supergirl story, right? It following a comic line, Woman of Tomorrow, that is it's a darker story. If you're not familiar with it, I would encourage you to look it up. It's not your little Girl Scout. Oh, the cute older impressionable cousin of Clark. Like it's a story that's got stakes, and so I think it's a very interesting one for them to take on. We now have our casting though. We know who our Supergirl is. Sort of. And that is Millie Alcock is playing Supergirl. Most notably from, if you're going, wow, who the hell is Millie Alcock? House of the Dragon. Sort of the follow-up series to Game of Thrones. Now, the reason I say we know who our Supergirl is, sort of, and it's actually only really, not only applicable to me, but I can only really talk for myself. I have not seen House of the Dragon.
Me either.
And in fact, if I go through Millie's IMDb, I haven't seen any of this. And so I don't know. Maybe this is a fantastic choice. Maybe this is a horrible choice. I mean, I haven't seen any huge negative outcries on the internet surrounding this. A lot of people are saying she'll do fantastic. She's a great actress, so on and so forth. She looks the part, right? She's blonde. She's, I don't know. She's blonde and she's a girl. Those are kind of your. That's kind of your requirements for Supergirl. And actually, I shouldn't even say that. Because I really liked the Supergirl that we got in the Flash movie, and she wasn't blonde. Right? So I would say the prerequisite for playing Supergirl is that it's Supergirl, so you should probably be a girl or a woman. Yeah, I mean, I don't look at her and go, I don't see it. I don't know. I think she looks like she could be a great Supergirl. I hate to base that off looks alone, but that's kind of all that I have to go on, at least with my exposure to Millie Alcock. Carl, what are your thoughts? Have you ever seen Millie Alcock in anything?
No.
And okay, great. What are your thoughts on Millie Alcock as Supergirl?
Sure. Yeah. Looks the comic book part. Let's go for it.
She does. And that's the thing, right? You don't have to have a blonde Supergirl, but in the comics and in the animation and in whatever, she's typically historically been blonde.
Yeah.
Even though Clark isn't. So it's on on her mom's side, I guess. I don't know.
They're cousins. They're not siblings.
Well, but
like I've got cousins who aren't.
I don't need
brunette.
to know your family tree. No, I get it. We don't need to know the Eastmans, the Eastmans of Nova Scotia. Nobody cares.
I don't have anybody who lives in Nova Scotia.
That you know of. Have you done the 23andMe, the MyHeritage thing? Maybe you do.
Actually,
you
I don't
probably
need
have
to.
third
For
cousins.
the Eastman side of my family, my uncle's cousin, my grandpa's cousin, did like before internet and 23andMe, did a huge genealogical study.
Yeah.
On the Eastman family tree, and like person by person finding like birth certificates and letters and all that stuff.
But you could have
traced it all the way back to England in the the 1700s.
But you could have like a third cousin twice removed or something that, because that's what I've been discovering. I've been doing the MyHeritage tree thing.
I mean, I don't know what my mom's side of the family is like, so maybe on my mom's side, I don't know.
Yeah.
But definitely not on the Eastman side, I can guarantee.
All right, Millie Alcock as
sure. Let's do it. Let's see what she's got.
Girl.
Show us your chops.
All right. Now, there's been a lot of good that we've gotten from Star Wars, and there's been some crap. We all disagree because we're fans, which means we don't like each other. Fans of one thing don't get along, and I don't. It's like the stupidest part of fandom, right? You're like, oh, I love this. Oh, except for that was stupid. What do you mean? That was the best Batman. No, that's the worst Batman. Can't we all just like Batman? Can't we just all be like, oh yeah, man, Batman's the best? They're like, no, we like, because Robert Pattinson's just a sparkly vampire, that's all he is. No, just stop. Fandom. So the thing with Star Wars is we don't all agree, right? You and I don't even agree on a lot of things Star Wars.
We like, as a counterpoint to your little thing, like, yeah, people don't agree on everything, but they do agree that they like Star Wars, even if they don't agree on one thing being good or the other thing being bad. Yeah. There's still a combined love of the franchise, even if people don't see eye to eye on particular movie or actor or whatever.
I thought Jar Jar should have been a Sith. No, he's not a Sith. He's an idiot. One of the divisive Star Wars properties to come out in the last, little while was the Obi-Wan series. Now, in my opinion, and Carl and I have talked about this several times, and I think that Obi-Wan is actually one of the series or one of the Star Wars properties that we see pretty much eye to eye on. So I'm going to speak for both of us here, but then you tell me when I go off path here, okay? It had issues. It wasn't perfect. There was a lot of decisions and choices they made that were like, oh, come on. Like, what, for the love of, like, Luke went on this, like, he was kidnapped as a child. He's got no memory of this. And like, however, despite all that, there are some incredible moments, particularly any of the things that have to do with Obi-Wan and his realization that Anakin's still alive, that Anakin is Darth Vader, their showdown, I'm sorry, Anakin, I'm sorry for all of it, and the tears, and oh my gosh, the explanation, even though people are like, well, it didn't need an explanation, the fact that they're like, hey, remember Return of the Jedi? You want to know, in true Joker fashion, Vader's like, you want to know how I got this scar? Right? Because Obi-Wan friggin' like sliced my helmet open and got me good in the head, and you know, what a dick. It was fun. It was fun, but it was bloated. It was bloated with a lot of crap that didn't need to be there, and was just kind of not, you know. And there's actually a really great. You can go on YouTube. Someone took it and like edited it down to like a 2-hour movie. And it's way better. It's like, oh my God, the Obi-Wan movie is great. It's great because it takes out all the crap that doesn't need to be there.
Yeah, the story was not as a whole, like it fell a lot. Like it fumbled over itself quite a bit.
Yeah. And so it kind of seemed, you know, and it was a story that I was interested in. It was a premise that I was interested in because I was like, you know, there's a big gap there, right? There's like a 17-year gap between when Obi-Wan drops Luke off with his aunt and uncle, right? His step aunt and uncle on Tatooine. There's a 17-year gap between when he does that, and then in those 17 years ages 40 years, and then that Tatooine sun, man, it's rough. And then we meet up with him as old hermit Ben Kenobi in A New Hope. I'm like, there's a lot there. And there's been something, you know, the Clone Wars series and Rebels and all this stuff. Like you get, or not Clone Wars, I guess, Rebels. You get to see sort of him re-face off against Darth Maul and all that stuff. But there was still just a lot of missing time there. And it was always my belief. I was like, there's room to tell a great story. But I kind of felt like, and although, you know, when the Obi-Wan series wraps up, although, you know, Luke is still only, I don't know, 6 to 8, right? He's a little kid.
Yeah.
And so there's still like
still got some growing
10 years
doing.
There's still 10 years between when that series ends and A New Hope. I kind of felt like, I don't know. I don't know what else you need to tell, right? You sort of did a soft retcon by having Vader and Obi-Wan interact, but I think it still
Leia
fits.
the whole Leia storyline felt a little shoehorned, but
why was Leia even there? Like that seemed a little. But yeah, so they sort of soft retconned, you know, that I haven't felt this presence since, right? And up until this point, it was the understanding that, you know, it was like, well, since they dueled on Mustafar, but it was a soft retcon that worked because you don't go now. If you go from Obi-Wan and then you watch A New Hope, there are no contradictory lines. Like it still works,
yeah,
right. But you know, they just kind of adjusted canon, or told us about canon that we were never aware of. But I just kind of feel like I don't know where you would go from here. But there's been talks for a long time about the potential of doing a season 2, and Ewan McGregor has voiced many times he's always down to play Obi-Wan. Right, he'll come back and he'll play Obi-Wan as long as they'll let him play Obi-Wan. Well, he was recently asked by Variety magazine, so season 2, what's the deal? And Ewan McGregor responded and said, would love to do the second season, but there's no talk of it yet. So for some people, that will be a sigh of relief. For some people, that will be mighty disappointing. I think I kind of fall in the middle, where I'm like, I don't know where you'd go. I don't know what story you would tell. I don't know if there's a story worth telling, right? I don't know that I want an Obi-Wan season 2 if I can't see Vader and Obi-Wan kind of do their thing, but also I don't want to see that again, because then you are encroaching on, well, I don't know. It depends on how you do it, I guess. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not that ever does happen. But yeah, I don't know that I would want a season 2. However, if you told me that I was going to get more Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan, like I am going to get excited for that. That's, it's friggin' Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I don't know. Carl, what are your thoughts on this? Do you want a season 2? Does it make sense to do a season 2? And do you think it'll ever happen?
I think I'd be down for another season. And I say that because to my understanding, like this whole Obi-Wan show, the premise of it was originally supposed to be kind of based off of, to my understanding, was supposed to be based off of, at least the look of his character very much is in the show, based off of the comic book run of that was Obi-Wan in the desert watching over Luke, sorry. And I haven't read the comic, but to my understanding, aside from the way Obi-Wan looks, they didn't pull a whole lot of story from that comic run.
Right.
So
as in they contradicted it, or they could still do it?
I think they probably could still do it, because to my understanding, like parts of it are like Obi-Wan gets kidnapped by Tusken Raiders and Obi-Wan has to go rescue him, and so it's like it's more the comic book. To my understanding, is there's a little bit of stuff like that, but the rest of it's kind of is, I don't want to use the word mundane, but like just his kind of a little bit of what we saw, I guess, in Obi-Wan. Him working, getting by, staying under the radar. Yeah. So I think there's a story to be told there still. And I said that before. Man, I want to, just talking about it kind of makes me want to grab the comic book and run. I don't know where to get it though, because the place that carries comic books in Little Hanover, they don't carry comic books anymore.
Oh, so they could probably
they carry a couple independent. They can get stuff in from some independent, smaller comic book companies, but they can't get anything from Marvel or DC anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Is there because it's all about
story
numbers. There? It's just numbers, right? Like unless you're ordering a certain amount, then they won't ship.
Really?
But if you order a certain amount and they don't sell, then you're ordering stock that's just bloating and not moving and wasting money sitting on your shelf.
Right.
So,
yeah.
It's kind of a catch-22 for them, and they're not big enough, and there's not enough interest in it. And yeah, comic books just don't sell as much as they used to, because a lot of people nowadays do what I do to consume comic book content, and that's I watch a YouTuber go over it. I watch a guy who narrates the like he kind of does some Photoshop work to remove the text from the panels, and then he narrates the panels, and yeah. So
well, and there's probably also
anyway.
Yeah, there's probably also a and I wouldn't say this is the lion's share of people by any means, but there's certainly some people out there who have stopped consuming any comic book stuff simply because the reason that they were into comics was because they were into superheroes. And that was if you were going to consume superhero content, that was the way to do it. And now you have a lot of other options, right? Yeah. Now you can, some people are like, I don't need to read comics. I'll just go, I've got the MCU. I've got whatever.
It's a golden age of digital media to consume your comic book content without having to buy a comic book.
Yeah, exactly.
Which sucks for the comic book industry as a whole.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And it also leads to a lot of issues. I won't get into it. There's other things going on there, but
moving on. We got not one, but two Ghostbuster trailers this past week. A Ghostbusters trailer that was like the domestic, like the main kind of Ghostbusters trailer. And then we got an international trailer, which showed some other things in it, showed some extra stuff, but also was not near as good, was not near as like enticing of a trailer. It was just kind of like I don't know, just made the film feel entirely different. Now, we're in a little bit of a weird spot here because Carl only watched one of them and he watched the not good one.
But by doing so, I've met my contractual obligations with the show.
Yes. So
you sent me the wrong one first.
So there's... How do I want to do this? I'm only gonna talk about things that appeared in the international trailer, with the exception of one thing that we knew was like this has been in the news. It's something that we've already talked about on this show, so it's not a spoiler at all. It's just a character who we've talked about is coming back, and you just get to you get to see him in the trailer, so it's not actually going to be a spoiler for you. But obviously what you do see in the Ghostbusters international trailer is, a lot of our cast is back. You've got Paul Rudd. You've got McKenna Grace. I love McKenna Grace as Phoebe, as Egon's granddaughter.
Yeah.
She was so good. So good in that role the last time around. And based on what we've seen in this trailer, there's no reason to think that, she's going to be any different. We get the Ghostbusters that we grew up with, that we know and love, are there. And are there, again, I don't think that they're the main team anymore. I don't think that they're, the main characters necessarily of this film. But I will say that there's almost more of them in this trailer than there was in the entirety of the last film. They seem to be back in not so much just a small little cameo role this time, but in a larger capacity. Did you kind of get that feeling from the trailer?
Yeah, definitely.
Right? You get to see...
They're not going to show up right at the end this time.
No. Now it's like, hey, okay, we're back in New York and the firehouse is open.
Yeah, they're in New York.
Yeah. So that's exciting. The one thing that was in that other trailer, not the one thing, but the one thing that I'm going to talk about, which is something that, like I said, we'd already discussed this. We do get to see and hear. I mean, it starts out as a little bit of a narration piece, and then we get to see the return of Walter Peck, the not EPA, but the environmentalist, guy from the first one who shuts down the containment system and whatever. And what we see is that after 40 years, this guy has only gained more of an axe to grind. Like, he is just, he's not sporting a Ghostbusters t-shirt. The guy is not a fan of the Ghostbusters. My favorite comments to see online, because of course the hilarious and well-known line from the first movie, is all of the comments on the trailer for the one that's got Walter Peck in it. Everyone's like, "Hey, Dickless is back." And funny. It's just so good. It's so good. I'm so stoked on this movie. I can't even begin to tell you. It's just, Yeah, it is so exciting. Listen, I'm not a big theory, conspiracy, like, ooh, could be. Typically, like, we'll talk about rumors and we'll talk about whatever, but I tend not to get, like, too deep into the nitty-gritty of it. However, there is a shot in both trailers of, just the team of Ghostbusters standing there. Actually, I think it's only in the international one where there's a shot that has, it's a brief shot, but it's a wide shot, and you see all the Ghostbusters. You see the original crew, you see, the newer crew, you see Annie Potts, right? Janine Melnitz is there in Ghostbusters garb. Phoebe's mom is in Ghostbusters garb. Like, it is the full lineup.
They become full-on corporate.
And you see a shot of someone it's such a brief shot, and you only kind of see them from the waist down because they're sort of running out of frame as the big scary ghost is approaching them. And all you kind of see is that they've got like white and red kind of sneakers on. You can't really pull much from that. However, it is a character that up until this point is unaccounted for in the trailers. You're like, okay, everyone else is there. Who the hell is this? And the rumors are circulating. And I so desperately want these rumors to be true that is Rick Moranis as Louis Tully. I want that to be the case so bad. I don't know if it will be. Obviously, it's just, wild speculation on everyone's parts. But that's it. Right? Obviously, with the exception of Harold Ramis, who unfortunately passed away, but that they paid a mountain's worth of homage to him in the last one.
Yeah.
Nobody else is
perfectly
missing.
Too, right? Like, they don't, with what they did in the last one, they don't need to do anything else with that character moving forward.
No. So, but everyone else has gotten, even Sigourney Weaver, although it was only like briefly in like a mid-credit scene, everyone else has gotten screen time from the original crew, except Louis Tully, who actually in Ghostbusters 2 dons the uniform and believes that he's the reason why all that goo comes off the front of the museum. Obviously, he had nothing to do with it. But yeah, God, I want, and I think we're in a position where it's more likely to happen than ever, right? Because yes, Rick Moranis had retired from acting when his wife passed away. He retired to raise his children and live sort of a quiet life. However, his kids are all grown up now. And there was a story a couple years ago now, and then things have been kind of quiet on it. We haven't really heard anything in a while. But that he's supposed to be doing that Honey, I Shrunk the Kids movie with Josh Gad called Shrunk. And probably a straight to Disney Plus kind of garbage, whatever. But it at least means that he is willing to maybe come out of retirement to do some stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
God, I hope so. It'd just be good to see Rick Moranis back in movies in general.
Yeah, and his initial retirement wasn't like we talked about why Jim Carrey retired a little bit. His retirement wasn't anything to do with anything of like dislike of the industry or not wanting to do with this for work. It was more out of a necessity because his wife passed away and he wanted to look after his kids.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So now his kids are all grown up. What's old man Rick supposed to do with his free time?
Come back and be a Ghostbuster is
damn
what?
Straight. That's what.
All right. Moving on to our last story of today. Deadpool 3. Do you know there's a Deadpool 3 coming?
What? What?
Yeah.
When?
Yeah. Wait, you are about to
blow my mind.
You are about to have to change your underwear, sir. Hugh Jackman is coming. Hugh Jackman's coming back as Wolverine.
What?
Yeah, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Also, supposedly everyone, including Elvis, is going to be in this movie.
No way.
Yeah, the king's coming back from the grave. Yeah.
This is the craziest casting since ever.
Yeah, even the director doesn't believe the casting at this point.
Man.
We got our official synopsis for Deadpool 3. And it's interesting. It's we got a synopsis and we got another quote from an article that I didn't send to you, but I'll just basically let you know the gist of that as well while we're discussing this. But the synopsis for Deadpool 3 is: the irresponsible hero Deadpool will change the history of the MCU with Wolverine.
Ooh.
Now, what does that mean?
Not a whole lot.
I mean,
it does, but it also doesn't.
It doesn't tell us much. But not only is this the first MCU film with Daredevil and Wolverine in it, this is also kind of the end bracket, the punctuation at the end of the sentence that is the Fox X-Men universe. Right. This is kind of the final. This is it's done. It's the send-off. Is this the film where all of a sudden, boom, there are mutants? Mutants are now a part of the MCU. I mean, in some ways, yes, because Deadpool's a mutant. Right? So even if Hugh Jackman's Wolverine doesn't actually ever make it through that final portal where he steps foot on MCU soil at any point in the film, maybe he doesn't. Our understanding is that the end goal is that that's where Deadpool's going to end up, right? On MCU soil, Earth 616 soil.
Somehow, yeah.
Somehow. And so just by virtue of that alone, there's now a mutant in the MCU. Officially. A mutant in the MCU. Now, tinfoil hat time. You put on a tinfoil hat for me real quick? Just throw on your tinfoil hat.
Okay, hang on. Okay, got my hat on. I don't know why it sounded squishy, but it did.
What if this is... What if this is the film where... Because, I mean, anyone could show up, right?
Anyway.
What if this is the film where... Assuming Wanda's not dead. I still don't think Wanda's dead.
You're a fool. But go on.
It's fine. It's fine. The MCU's done crazier things.
Yeah.
What if this is our House of M film?
Interesting.
What if this is where Wanda brings back... So for those that don't know, there's a comic run called House of M where the Scarlet Witch at some point in the past says something to the effect of no more mutants, and all the mutants disappear, are wiped from the history of the Earth. And then later on, at one point, she says mutants come back, or mutants, I choose you, or what, I don't know, whatever it is. And back through the floodgates come the mutants. And so this could be the film where, this is really, I hope you have a big tinfoil hat on, because I've got nothing to base this on, that this is what they're going to do, right? I think there's a 5% chance, if that, that these events transpire in Deadpool 3. However, I think there's a 70% chance that this film is the catalyst that brings in mutants. And to take it one step further, the other quote, this is a big quote from Matthew Vaughn, who is the director of X-Men First Class, who has seen the film or, you know, been in the editing room enough, has been on set enough. He says that Deadpool 3 is a jolt that could save the whole Marvel universe. That this is the film that is going to get everything back on track.
This retcons everything.
Well, not even, I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's what they're talking about. I mean, there's going to be, like, from what we know, obviously they're dicking around with some multiverse in this film. They have to be, right? That's how, there's no other way for these characters to end up, you know, traversing to Earth 616. Or what looks like the void at the end of time. We're 99.9% sure that we're going to see that.
Deadpool kills Kang.
Maybe.
If ants can do it, then he certainly can.
Maybe Deadpool kills it, you know, in like a post-credit scene. Just like we've seen Deadpool go back and like kill a younger Ryan Reynolds who's holding the script of Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Maybe we get a post-credit scene where Deadpool shows up in that stadium that had all the Kangs in it and just starts laying waste.
Drops a nuke.
Wouldn't that be hilarious? And just like and the definitive way for Marvel to say, okay, we're moving on.
We're done with Kang.
We're done with Kang. Right? Like, oh my gosh. I don't know. Carl, what are your thoughts? You've heard the synopsis that, you know, that Deadpool 3 is a film where Deadpool and Wolverine change the history of the MCU.
Oh man. It like, does Kevin Feige and the MCU put that much stock in Deadpool being that important right out the gate to the MCU?
I think you do.
That's a lot. Oh man, I don't know.
Because here, let's think about it this way. This film, there has never in the history of film been a superhero film with more quite a bit. with more star power than Deadpool 3. Oh
man.
Right, you look at the entirety of the MCU. Yeah, you've got Robert Downey Jr. in there and Chris Hemsworth, but like the MCU made Chris Hemsworth a star. The MCU revitalized Robert Downey Jr.'s career, made him the star that he is, the name that he is.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, side by side, you start throwing Jennifer Garner in there, you start throwing Halle Berry in there if she is, Patrick Stewart, like all these whatever. With the level of stardom that Ryan Reynolds is right now, and Hugh Jackman, there's never been a bigger cast lineup in terms of fame and stardom than Deadpool 3.
But I don't think that's like that. To me, that can't be the answer to that question. Like the question of how important Kevin Feige and the MCU look at Deadpool as being to the MCU story. Like, Kevin Feige's like, okay, man, what's next on the list? Okay, Deadpool. How important is it going to be to affecting the overarching storyline we're trying to tell? Right? How important is this going to be? I don't think you look at, oh, well, it's got a whole shit ton of actors that are really freaking awesome. So yes, of course, that's not why you make it an important film to the story of the MCU.
No, but maybe
that gives it the potential to be an amazing blockbuster film. Yes,
right,
absolutely. But
okay, so what about then the fact that this is a film unlike any other film that Kevin Feige could make, where you can get away with retconning and changing and adjusting and kind of, a little bit of takesy backsies if you want, because it's Deadpool, and we'll just buy it and we'll go, oh yeah, that's the way the MCU was until Deadpool came in and did that thing and changed it.
Yeah, until Deadpool. See, and that is a stronger argument. Like, Deadpool showed up in the MCU 616 universe and all hell's broken loose, because that's what Deadpool does. He's an agent of chaos.
Yeah.
Sure, that's a better argument. I don't know. I don't see this movie playing a huge, massive role in the story. I think it'll change or add something to what we've gotten already. But honestly, the MCU's such a mess right now that I don't know. Deadpool can be the answer to fixing that mess, but to fix that mess, you've got to essentially use Deadpool to retcon a lot of stuff, or be the answer to a lot of stuff. And I don't know. I just don't see them owning up to mistakes like in that way. Right. And I say that because it feels more like they've chosen to double down on mistakes rather than go, okay, that didn't work, let's change something.
Right. Okay. I mean, I have all the faith in the world in this movie. I think it's going to be a great
movie. I don't think it's going to be as impactful to the MCU as you're making it out to be.
Right.
It will have some sort of impact, but I don't think it'll be any more of an impact than any other standalone film has had.
Well, for the sake of the MCU and for the sake of our enjoyment as fans, I think we both hope that you're wrong.
Oh yeah.
This is something you'd love to be wrong about.
Yeah.
Yeah. God. I'm so excited though. Yeah. I'm so excited for this movie. Well, that's it. That's all we got.
That's it.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you check out our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all listed down below. Our Patreon page. Oh, we've been chatting about new things coming for Patreon. Some video content. Oop, I just said that. Maybe I shouldn't have said that.
Put a beep in there.
Just edit that. Yeah. Just some definitely not some video content. And merch.
Yeah. There's a few new things. Not many, but a few.
You can, now that Christmas is over, you can get a Santa hat.
Yeah. Better late than never.
Better late than never. When better to get prepared for next Christmas than to buy your Movie Men Santa hat now? Yeah, exactly.
And if you don't like that Santa hat, you could buy a patch or a sticker.
Then you hate Christmas. No, if you don't like that Santa hat, then you hate Christmas.